very much for waiting and being with us, Regina and Dimitri. We wanted to do these conclusions because these 3 days of the forum have been packed with ideas, packed with young people talking about what they want to see in the future of the European Union. And I think this forum has been not only the 6 months that they have been working on this, but also these 3 days have been the representation of what the conference can wait and can expect from young people around Europe. And now we would like to make you some questions, to see the view of course, the Portuguese presidency and the Commission, because in the end, the Parliament, the Council, and the Commission are the ones that are going to lead on this change, and they're going to be the ones that will hear the proposals and the voices of young people around Europe. And I think that it is fundamental for you to have a voice in these types of events, and for young people to have the chance to talk to you directly. So thank you very, very much again for this. So now that the conclusions have been done, there are many questions on the table. We would like to start, I think, about how feasible will the conference be in terms of time. When the conference was launched, it was in the end expected to finish in spring 2022. But in the beginning, that was not going to be the case. It was expected to be until spring 2023. Do you think that the change of the date of the conference will affect its outcome, or do you think that it will make enough time for people to just join the debate? If you want, we can do turns. So, for example, Regina can start now, and then Dimitri, and in the next question, we can just do the other way around. Thank you very much. Sorry, Regina, you're muted. No, there, yes. No, oh, muted again. You're muted okay, now. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isabel, for the kind invitation. It's an honor to be with you today, and it's an honor to be with the Spanish youth that are talking for 3 days about the future that they want for their lives. And it's very important to have these discussions. Today, I must say, as a representative of Portugal, who holds the presidency of the European Union Council, and this special day at 25th of April, our revolution, it's an honor to be talking with you about the future and the present and the ambition for Europe. It's the best way to celebrate democracy, liberty, and solidarity, the main principles of the European Union. So, congratulations once again for the Equipo Europea and for the offices of the European Commission and the European Parliament in Spain. The shape of Europe is in our hands. It's the slogan at the main publication that we have at the COF. And it's true. And I think the time that we have to think and to debate what we want, the young people want, and the men and women of all Europe, and the 27 member states, and young people and older people and the people from the rural areas and the urban areas want for Europe is very important. And the time we have, it's accelerated by the schedule of the events with the crisis of COVID-19. So we have this time to put our ideas and mainly our participation in COF to bring the questions to the table, to have reflection and think profoundly about what we want for Europe in the next decades. So we want more democracy, we want more transparency, we want more fairness in the economy, we want more preoccupations with the welfare of the citizens. It's in an individual and a collective plan and level. So we have 6 main priorities that the groups, the working groups have give for in these 3 days. Good questions and good orientations. So we must put our energy and our wishful ambition in the table in this short time. I think for me it will be more easy and probably more moderate, have a larger schedule to think about those so many and complex items that we have on the table to discuss and to think about. But I think we have time, probably at the end of the schedule in the next spring, the next year, we have probably more time, or the time that we achieved will be enough. Probably it's not the time to say that this schedule is or isn't enough for the more useful and more accurate outcome. But we have this time, and it is in this time that we have to use the multilingual digital platform, the events to think about Europe, the panels of citizens to think about the items and the priorities that we want to Europe. So let's do it in this time. And Isabel, I think it's early now to say if it's the time is enough for this important mission that all citizens have to give more and more fair and more profound answers to our questions and our ambition, I think.
Thank you very much, Regina. Indeed, we have a lot of time ahead of us. So thank you very much for your views on the conference and your views on the forum. And thank you very much for the kind words for the team. So now, Dimitri, I don't know if you want to say, of course, also your views on the conference, in addition to my question for the timing. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for giving me the floor, and indeed, congratulations for this event. I can see you've been at it for already a couple of days, so it's good that this dedication also, and I want to thank all the young people who participated in this process. And I listened to the contributions, and I found them very valuable and useful, and indeed in line with what we expect from a conference event. And I saw that your event was also registered on the platform, although I'm not sure. There might be some technical issues also with the entry, and I really hope that all the conclusions, there is a process which you have been going through, and this can be translated into actual recommendations and conclusions, which will be uploaded on the platform, which will in turn should generate a debate, and should lead to maybe more people getting involved as a snowball effect. So definitely thank you for organizing this, and I appreciate also that you've organized this without knowing very much about the platform, because we have, as you have pointed out, we have been slightly slow to start. The conference has started with 1 year after the initial the time that it was foreseen to start, and obviously due to the pandemic. But I think we have used that time efficiently, and this platform that we have launched now, and the platform means that the conference is open. That's important, and the platform also means that the conference is open to citizens, because we don't want this to be a top-down process. It is not a convention. We have been very clear about that, and what happens with conventions, which are done in closed doors, without the participation of citizens. After that, there is no political buy-in from the citizens, and that ends up with failed referendum. So we are not in that. We don't want to be in that situation. What we want is an open discussion, and that's why we've developed this platform. It took at least 6 months to find the right solution, and we were already working on this. When we started, when we were supposed to start in May, but if we had launched it in 2020, it would have been a very different thing. Now we have had time we've learned through experiences of many other people. So okay, there has been a delay, but we've used that time proficiently and efficiently, and we are happy to have launched this platform now. So now we have 1 year. Well, I would say from now until spring 2022 to reach conclusions, and I think this is also the 2022 calendar is because, well, if you want a conference and you want specific outcomes, you do it mid-mandate, because then the second half of the Commission mandate is when the proposals can be implemented. Otherwise, you'd go to a new Commission, and it wouldn't make sense. So, we just couldn't. I think it did not make sense to prolong this conference for 2 years. I think we just have to make do with this, and this puts a lot of pressure. I'm not underestimating this challenge, because just to take the platform, but for me, the conference is much more than the platform. It is the events that you have organized, and they have to happen all across Europe. It is the citizens panels that are going to happen. If you want later on, we can talk about that. It's a very novel way of selecting people randomly, and these people, they will actually look at what is being said on the platform, and that will also feed into the discussion. So the platform is the third element, and then the fourth element is the plenaries, where you will have both politicians and citizens discussing, so that you confront the different views. So you have several ways of doing this, and obviously doing it in less than a year it puts a severe pressure on us, and things will have. On the other hand, I would say, and I'm just going to stop talking now because I really want to answer as many questions as possible. What we can say is that the cost of organizing events, the logistics of organizing events, has plummeted in this year. I mean, this is the event that you're doing is totally unimaginable 3 years ago, because people would have not participated, and now the cost is we are even able to do. It takes another type of logistics, but multilingual events. So, Bertelsmann and other foundations have been doing this, and we've learned in this year how to do this. So now we are ready. We are ready to, but we need to. It's clear that we need to accelerate right from the beginning. It's just not simply just let's throw the platform there and let's hope that people do events. I think we need to promote this and to engage, and this is also why I'm here today, because I think you're ideally placed also to mobilize more people to participate in this platform.
Thank you very much, Dimitri. Actually, what you mentioned about the panels that might take place, that will take place from the institution side, it connects perfectly with the next question. I think that one of the problems that we were facing when we were organizing this type of event regarding the conference was the sometimes limited knowledge that the citizens in Europe have about what the European Union can actually do, and what proposals can actually be launched from us, from the citizens, for the institutions to be able to actually implement them and have a role on that. So in this sense, this added difficulty for the citizens and the confusion about its competences. Do you think that these panels will help, or at least part of them will help preventing that the citizens just, like give their opinions on things that maybe the European Union cannot do something about them, and they will just focus on the main road for the Union to change?
Yeah. Shall I start?
Yes, we can start with you and then with Regina, so we can do that all the time.
Indeed, it's a novelty. I just want to start with saying that, whenever I'm involved in a discussion on the EU, I mean, it often happens that I'm discussing with people who are involved in EU affairs, so it's a different thing. But when I'm discussing with people who are, students, or when I was in faculties about trade policy, and etc., what often happens is I have a sensation that the people are talking about a Europe that I don't know. I mean, I've dedicated the last 20 years of my life working on European affairs. So I can't say that I have the truth about Europe, but on the one hand you have people who tend to idealize what we can do and give us a role that we don't have sometimes, and that can be frustrating. And then obviously there's on the other side more Eurosceptic arguments, which also do not reflect what Europe is. And it's kind of the debate is happening in a kind of vacuum. Because it is not grounded in reality often, and it is and you will see this also on the platform. Look at the proposals that are you can already see. There's a lot of things that are already done by the EU, and so why propose something which is already there? But it just shows that people don't know about it. And other things which are totally unrealistic or outright non-European in their their values, but free speech, so we're not censoring anybody on the platform. The panels, indeed, it's a method where you take people together for a few days, a few weekends generally, and you manage that to build a certain knowledge. And on the basis of that knowledge, which has to be non-biased. I mean, you have to have experts. And when we were planning this, we were talking to the Irish assemblies that have taken place, and they listened to all points of views. On pro, against. It was on the constitutional reform about abortion, pro-abortion and anti-abortion. But then real people who are testimonies, explaining their situation. And you also had a little bit of politicians explaining what the points of view were, but but the general thing is you get this unbiased information. You put people in a kind of protected environment, in a bubble of their own, and you let them reflect. And you give them time to do this. And so that's where the methodology of the panels is important. That's where the expertise that you provide, the balance that has to be there. Obviously for that luckily we have academics generally who are very competent, but also NGOs should have their role. And we have to also isolate people slightly from, we don't want to convert this into a Twitter debate or Facebook debate. It's important that people have their kind of certain integrity to the debate. So, and that in general allows us to deliver a recommendation. One thing, and I'll stop on that, is it's important to choose the topic or to frame the topic intelligently, because it all depends on what you choose. If you choose a broad topic which is too broad, which is too difficult to grasp in 4 weekends, you are not going to deliver quality outcomes. You need to frame the topic. I mean, you can start with a very broad topic, but very quickly you need to boil it down to what is it that this panel is going to deliver, and then you can have recommendations, which are, it's not like this is not the voice of God. This is not the ultimate voice in the process. It's not because citizens have spoken that nobody else can speak, but the panel will give you a very interesting insight. It will give you a more profound insight than a 2-hour debate can give you. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Dimitri. Regina, please, the floor is yours.
So the principles of COF are inclusiveness, openness, and transparency. And the main goal is to put the citizens, the youth, young people, the men and women at the member states, talking about Europe, talking about what they want to be the future and to shape the future of the institutions, the European institutions. So the panels of citizens must put the citizen in the center. It's not for politicians. It's not for experts and people that they know already. What they want and what they feel like Europe is in the present, and that they want that European will be in the future, is to put the men and women all over the European Union saying what is wrong now and what they aim the European Union to be in the next decades. So the citizens panels will be at least with a third part of young people, and people all over the countries, from the rural areas, urban areas, and they will meet for 2 or 3 days on weekends in panels that will be launched or organized at national level and European level. So it will be an opportunity to put the people thinking and debating with the preparation that Dimitri has already talked about. And the conclusions and the result of the debate in the panels will be discussed in the plenaries. So it's very, very important to say to our citizens that this conference is the opportunity to say what we want from the European institutions, and the representation at national level of the citizens will be fair, because these principles of inclusiveness, openness, and transparency, they are there all the time to bring up the right conclusions to shape the next future in Europe. So the main message we must say now, and we must transmit for our citizens, and it's my main mission now as a national coordinator in Portugal of the COF, is to say to our citizens, please participate. You have the opportunity to shape your future. Say what you want. Say what you think it's not good now. Say what you want to be modified. say that what you want to be in the next future in our lives in this club that is belonging to each citizen of the European Union. It's the main goal. It's now to put the people participating and debating about the future.
Thank you very much, Regina. This next question, and it is the last one on our side, and then we will give the floor to the participants because they have questions already. It's actually related and connected to what you just said about participation of citizens in the European Union. I think that one of the great things that the European Union has done throughout the years, and actually it was really prominent in the last Juncker Commission with the citizens' dialogue and other little events that took place, and actually they take place also with the parliament, like the Café con Europa that we have in here, like the Terraza de Europa, which is a connection with the citizens that is direct, and it allows citizens to actually say what they think and what they would improve in the European Union. But sometimes we see this lack of participation and communication actually with citizens from the national side. We do not see member states participating and engaging in a legislative level with their citizens, even though they have great ideas and they can actually improve a lot the system that they live in. Have you seen or do you think that they will probably learn from the experience of the conference at the outcome of the conference? And do you know if actually some member states, after seeing this history of the European Union with this type of participation, they are thinking about introducing this type of initiatives with citizens? Regina, we can start with you.
I hope so. I really hope so, because it's important. I think the European Union in the last years had suffered several crises: the economic and financial crisis, the immigration crisis, the pandemic crisis, the terrorism crisis. Now we are in a crisis. So I think I think it's a classical way to put the things when we are living crisis, that when we are in a crisis, we think about the future, the best way to respond at the crisis. And I think this crisis at COVID-19 say to us that probably we have to have more competencies at European level, like health competencies, more competencies at the health systems. It's like a evident conclusion that this pandemic bring the urgent response to a big crisis of the citizens, and put in crisis many things that were most settled in the European Union, like the Schengen, the mobility between the states, mobility in member states, the right to circulate in the European Union was put in crisis with this pandemic. So we have to think this crisis as an opportunity to give more answers and more levels of decisions or topics that we have to talk about and have to have in mind to shape the future. So the participation now probably is a very good opportunity, because our citizens, are very aware of that this crisis is an opportunity to have new answers to new questions. So we have to put this like that to our citizens, say to them that the lack of participation of them in this opportunity to have an opinion, and to bring this opinion to the authorities, local, regional, European authorities, will be very important to give the right answers in economy, the right answers for the climate change, the right questions for our external policy, the right questions for the fight of the terrorism, the right questions for migration. And it's this challenge I think we have to fight against the lack of participations. We have in Portugal, I think we have in several member states, this problem of participation of citizens, but I think we have more means, more methods to have a different way to put the people and the young people and the older people to participate in this opportunity to have a voice. I think it's the main thing, to have a voice. Each citizen have a voice in this conference, and their opinion will be taken in account for this conference. It's a main challenge, I must say. It's a huge challenge.
It is indeed. Thank you, Regina. Dimitri, please. You're muted. Sorry.
Sorry, I double-clicked. This conference, it's really a new way of doing politics in Europe. I mean, it has to be. There will have to be a strong leadership, and that's the thing that the whole challenge has been to get the three institutions together on this. And I think that there is a strong governance for the conference, strong leadership. I mean, it might be a bit complex to have three institutions working together, but we are taking decisions. We have launched a platform. We have decided to launch panels. The work will happen over the summer, and they will happen after. They might meet. That remains to be seen before the summer, and then start in earnest after the break. What I think there is a significant amount of buy-in from member states, on this. The discussions in the council are very interesting, because most of the member states are really participating actively in this. You can see this. So in the mini council of foreign ministers, the General Affairs Council last week was very interesting from this point of view. We had massive support for the conference. So I think things are moving, and as I said, it's a question of impulse given by the conference instances, by the chairpersons of the conference. The Portuguese presidency has been very proactive. Not all governments will participate equally, but I think we have several, Germany, Portugal, France, Italy, Greece. I mean, I'm not going to go through the whole list, but they have all indicated that they would be willing to participate actively. And I think this is part also of a deliberative innovation across Europe. It's not that we're changing democracy fundamentally. I mean, we're not. There will still be a parliaments, and European Parliament. It will still be a representative democracy, but it's adding a new way of participating, of engaging with people. It's also something that is happening nationally. It's also, France, Ireland, several other countries have engaged in this, and the point is that it has to be structured. It's not simply a town hall meeting. Politician talks to people for 2 hours and then takes a plane and goes away. It is a different exercise this time. So it's really important for us to be to have these conditions for a right debate. And I think there are very interesting questions out there. I mean, I think most people will be interested in talking about EU health policy and things that affect them directly. I mean, you can already see this when you look at we published a Eurobarometer survey when we signed the joint declaration a couple of months ago. And this was very clear that you had different ways of seeing the consequences of the pandemic in different countries. And what's going to be interesting about the conference is that it will allow to confront these views, because I assume that people all across Europe are going to talk about health, but you're going to have different visions, which are going to be, is it a vision which is more popular in Denmark? What do we do after the pandemic? They will tend to think, well, what we need to do is to have a stronger coordination of the emergency response that we give whenever there's a pandemic. So we need to strengthen that. Other countries will tend to, something maybe more popular in the south of Europe, will say we need a European health policy with all that it. And this is the kind of debate that's going to happen, and that we need to foment also from the conference instances.
Thank you very much. Now we will open the floor, because we actually have many questions, and participants have loved your in this part of the room, so they are willing to take the floor and just ask. So I will let them do it. First, we have Gara Bai. So please, Gara, go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Dimitri and Regina. Thank you so much for being here with us. And my question is for Dimitri. And I wanted to know, because I know there is a communication strategy oriented towards EU citizens, but I wanted to know if you have a strategy or the idea of exporting overseas the conference as a strong public diplomacy tool in order to strengthen also EU leadership in global geopolitics?
It's an interesting question. Actually, it was mentioned recently by the HR VP, I think, and by the External Action Service, and it was also mentioned by the Portuguese presidency. I think maybe in the first stage we need to consolidate this debate and launch it properly in Europe, because it's obviously first and foremost a debate for Europeans. At the same time, it's when you're discussing foreign affairs, well, you have stakeholders, people who might be interesting to listen to. I think maybe the role. This debate is not so much for I think the platform has to be mostly for European citizens. At the same time, you could definitely envisage that our delegations can serve as a focal point, not only for EU citizens abroad, because we have quite a big European diaspora. People are living abroad, and so they are also Europeans, so they have a say. But I think it can be used in certain circumstances to also as a pedagogical tool, and it would make sense when we're discussing the EU in the world to be able to have this interaction. I mean, it has to be seen how it can be done, but it's definitely on our radar.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Gara. Now the next question comes from Juan Carlos Lubian. Please, Juan Carlos, if you want, go ahead.
Thank you, Lisa, for giving me the floor. Well, first of all, I'd like to join my colleague in thanking Regina Bastos and Dimitri Barua for being with us today. We really appreciate it. And I would like to ask a question concerning the communication strategy and policy of the EU. Do you think that the conference will be a good opportunity to communicate better the measures that the European Union takes, and will it therefore make young Europeans more committed to the European integration? And which kind of tools do we have to develop for young people to be engaged with the European Union? Thank you very much.
So I don't know who would like to take the floor first. Regina, for example?
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Juan Carlos. It's a very important and a very difficult one, because I think we have no ideal answer for that. But it's important, I think, this forum on the future of Europe is the example of a good communication strategy and a good initiative. So this conference on the future of Europe, as this format that is completely different, as we have already heard in this afternoon. It's very different. It's not a speech, it's not a conference, it's not a webinar similar at the others. It's a conference between 27 member states with millions of citizens that can participate, and we have digital instruments that can put the citizens participating in a very, very easy way. We have to put these tools and the people have to have knowledge of these tools to participate. But it's very easy to participate in the digital multilingual platform. It's a very easy way to organize an event. So the people had to know that these instruments exist. And you, Juan Carlos, and all the young people that it is now in this forum have the obligation to say to the other members of your family, your colleagues, your professors, all the people that you have contact, and it's in your circle of relations, that they have instruments. And they have easy means to have their voices heard. So I think it's the good communication is that it's to pass to the friends and family that we have to participate, and we have the multilingual platform, and we have the opportunity to have events at the local level, at regional level, to debate, to say what we want. Of course, the European Commission and the Council and the presidencies have this ambition to put all the means together and all the leadership that they might have to put this conference in a very dynamic way of being in our lives within the next year. But it's important at the result, the positive result of the conference, that each other can do something to the communication strategy. And I exhort you to have this mission, to say to all of your circle of contacts, of relationships, that each of us can participate in this conference. I think the platform is a very it's a fantastical way to put the citizens to participate in this next months that we have ahead. It's a very easy mean to do that, and the European Commission and the Council and the presidencies that we have ahead, the Portuguese presidency, the Slovenian presidency, the French presidency. All together, we are doing our best, I think, to have a good result at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Regina. Dimitri, if you want to add something, please go ahead.
Yes, just very quickly. I mean, I'm more an operational person. You know, I obviously I'm just a civil servant and not a politician. And so my challenge is, and you know, everybody's challenge is to actually transform the theory of this country. This conference has been designed. Now it needs to happen. We need to make it happen. And one way that we have to drive this process. We have to be able to reach out to all the associations, organizations that are, and all the people. So that is our challenge. You know, that's our communication strategy. I think in terms of strategy, also it's important to underline that we have a common approach. Council, Parliament, Commission. We are commonly developing the visuals that you see on the platform, visual identity, the slogan. This, the future is in your hands. That is something that we have agreed together, and you know this also builds on previous experiences that the Parliament has had also with this time I'm voting, which was very which really worked very well. I think also worked especially well with a young audience. So we're going to work a lot together with the other institutions, together with Parliament, actually together. The Parliament has this together.eu platform, which it's not a citizens platform in the sense that it is a platform which is aimed mostly at people who are engaging in Europe and want to contribute. So people like Kipopa will be definitely probably part of this already, and you know the idea is to find some ways of working together with the Parliament on this by for instance flagging events that are organized by the together.eu constellation of organizations to make them visible on the platform. But we'll also be working with the people who are working on the climate pact, which is also going to be discussed right now. So, you know, bringing all these things together, bringing all these people who want to participate in the conference, bring them together on the platform and help us shape this debate, because I think it's not just something that you throw out there and it happens. We really have to make it happen. And one way also that we can do it is when you look at the platform right now, even now, it's kind of hard to find an idea to understand where the debate is. There are so many proposals, hundreds of proposals. You're not going to go looking at each one of them. So you might spend 10 minutes looking at them and maybe liking or reacting to some things, but we need we need to produce reports which explain what is to people that can be easily readable, saying now, so people are discussing on this and that, and now please also give it's also your chance to come into this debate, and we need to show, you know, to people where the debate is, because otherwise they might be slightly discouraged when they arrive on the platform. It's very interesting. It's fantastic when you see things in 10 different languages, although English tends to predominate a little bit. And then you click on a button and you can, you know, you everything appears in the language of your choice. So that's something that's an infrastructure that we have created, but now we need to make it work, and that's the challenge for the next weeks for us.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank you very much.
First, I would like to ask Regina and Dimitri, because we are running out of time. We have 4 minutes of the event that was scheduled, but there are some questions left. I don't know if it would be possible for you to maybe stay 10 extra minutes. If not, that would be completely all right. Thank you. Thank you. So this next question, I'm going to ask the participants, please, to maybe reduce. Some of you have 2 questions, but we still have people that want to participate. So please just stick to maybe just one. This next question comes from Isabel Jimenez Aguilera. So please, Elia, you have the floor.
Thank you. Hi, Regina, Dimitri, and Isabel. It's very nice hearing you. I have more generalistic question, maybe, regarding the actual crisis situation with the pandemic. I think that the youth is a bit concerned about the future of the labor situation. So I would like, how do you see this future for youth in the European Union? The future of the labor situation. Thank you.
So we start with Dimitri.
Yeah, sure. Well, yes, indeed. I mean, when you look at the statistics of youth unemployment, especially in Spain, unfortunately, although I'm pretty sure, I'm listening to you today, I'm pretty sure that you are not among the collective which is most at risk of being unemployed, and that's also because it's because of your hard work. But not that I'm saying that people who are not going to have a job, it's just not because they're working. It's just that I mean that there's kind of structural deficiencies in different countries, in Spain, in the south, in some countries in south of Europe, but also the country I'm from, in France, it's what your opportunities in life really depend on this kind of structural problems that both the education system and the economy has. And that's why the approach of the Commission with this Next Generation EU is very much focused on youth. I mean, Next Generation EU is, yes, it's about climate and digital, but we obviously know that these things are both the climate policy. It's a key challenge for the future. That's actually where the jobs are going to be, and that's also in digital. That's where the jobs are going to be. And at the heart of this approach, and I hope that the plans that each member state presents is going to fully respect that. I have indications that it will. There is always this kind of this education skills dimension. How can it's not only a question of investing into climate and digital economy, but also how do we get the skilled labor force to operate this? I mean, and it's not only about highbrow skills or white collar workers. It's also about the guys who's going to install the panels on your rooftop, and all the people who are going to renovate your building. And there are not enough of those trained people at the moment. So maybe in some countries more than in others. But so it is at the heart of our thing. And indeed, one of the things that we're going to do in the coming weeks, there's going to be a information campaign on these issues, and it will be focused especially on youth, because that's and it's called Next Generation EU. So it's definitely at the heart of the matter.
It's my turn. It's my turn. So thank you very much, Elia, Isabel, for the question. I prefer not to heard about this problem, but I'm afraid that will be arised after the pandemic crisis. Will have effects of the crisis on youth employment, unfortunately. Like we have mostly the southern the countries of the South Europe in the crisis of financial and economic crisis. But I think we have We have the support of the European Union. We have the support of the institution triangle of Europe to fight against this terrible effect on youth employment. We have the money for our countries. Portugal this week had the good news of the delivery of is our plan of the right to the capital cooperation and resilience in the EU. We have funds to add and to help to combat to fight the effects of the pandemic crisis in this sector of the youth. I think we have some conclusions of the working group that you talk in the beginning of our session today, that talks about the paid internships and youth and the social economy as a tool to achieve social and environmental objectives that must be applied in this crisis of probably of social effects of pandemic crisis on youth employment. But I think we have already a good program, Next Generation Youth, that Dimitri talks about. It's a very important tool to fight this problem. And I think your way of anticipate, your way, when I say your way, it's the attention you are giving to the attention to the anticipation of the problem about the social effects of the pandemic in social terms. I think your attention is very important to minimize of this probably effect of the unemployment crisis. So we have Europe, and I think it's a very good thing to have the European Union, because if Portugal are now alone or Spain are now alone in this crisis and fighting the effects of the crisis, will be more difficult to have the right way to respond to the problems that we are living. So I'm optimistic in this point of view. I think we have to be realistic. We have to put the right way to have the right responses to the effects of this crisis. And I think this opportunity to talk about the present and the future, it's a good way to have the knowledge, the profound knowledge that we have to do together, and we have to do in national terms and the European level to have the right answers.
Thank you very much. I am afraid that we are running a bit out of time. We have 3 people still waiting to ask their questions. So I would please ask you to be brief in the questions, and if possible to address them just directly to the guest that you would like to have the answer from. So in this next question, we have Hector Jimenez. So please go ahead, Hector.
Well, my question is for both of the speakers, but probably more for Dimitri, since is the Commission the one that is coordinating all the platform. And I'm glad you said you are an operational person, because then you can ask easier to this question. And it's basically in which sense and specific means will the citizen proposals be taken into account? Because I think people expect from the platform not only a way to express their views, but also a way to be heard. And this is a thing that is also being said in these 2 days we've been discussing. So I would like to know more about this, and I was checking a little bit the platform. I would like to know how will you filter all these proposals, because there are a lot of them. If the proposals that have more likes or more addresses will be taken more into account, but you also said that some of these may be against Europe values, so this is something that we have to notice also, and that will be the question.
I'll try to answer very quickly, because I would need probably a whole day to actually. It deserves. It's really very important questions. I mean, first of all, I would say that it's important that citizens understand why they are participating. Otherwise there's a kind of credibility gap. So that's definitely one of the events that's going to happen on the 9th of May, for instance, is will be when we explain everything. That is because as we hit the road running, there's a certain number of elements of the conference which are not totally settled at the moment, that will on the 9th of May will be able to explain the whole process. But if I simplify very quick views on the platform, we feed this discussion into the European panels, into the discussions in the plenaries. There will be also national discussions, more structured, but this will also feed into the European citizens panels and into the plenaries. And at the end of the process, the challenge is going to transform this different. The plenaries are going to make recommendations, or will draw conclusions. The citizens panels will also draw conclusions, which are hopefully based also on what they have received from the platform, and that needs to be channeled into concrete recommendations for actions at the end. So there's a kind of pyramid, that sort of just and how we do this. It's a very good question. I don't have much time, but it's we are going to get thousands of proposals. It's very difficult to read through thousands of proposals and make sense of it. So what we're using is artificial intelligence system, which already used for instance, media monitoring, which tells you what are the people discussing, what are the clusters of ideas, and within the clusters, what are the more significant topics, and you can group together these things, so that allows you to read more quickly. And then you have analysts from the Commission, but also people whose specialty is to do this, who will be drawing reports, and these reports will make, let's say, the platform intelligible to people who are, without having to read through all the 4,000, 10,000 or 50,000 ideas. So that's definitely, and it's something that we've already started working on, and we hope to be able to present. This will all have to be decided by the conference secretariat, which has been created. But this is definitely something we're already working on, because if you don't understand what's going on the platform, you cannot translate this into the discussions that will have to happen in the plenaries and the citizens panels.
Thank you for the information, Dimitri. It was for me a very good view to know that will be artificial intelligence to create the selection of the teams.
No, it's not. The selection is made by humans, okay. But I think the selection is made by the authors of the proposals. If you have 10,000 proposals on a given issue, that's obviously more relevant than and the likes and the endorsements that the people put there. It's really, but it's really from the citizens. but it's very difficult to read it quickly.
Of course.
So you have to make it.
I think it's a good thing to have the help.
And we don't want to censor also, People will say things we don't agree with, but we have to accept it.
Of course. But it's a hard. It will be a very hard mission if only humans have to do it. So it's a good thing to have this help. It's a good thing because everything is new and everything is innovative. And I think it's a very good challenge for all of us.
Thank you very much for your answers. And now, because I really feel bad for the guests because they are joining in a Sunday and a really sunny Sunday in Portugal and in Brussels. So I really do not want to take more time. So the last two questions, I think that I'm going to please ask the participants to be really brief, please. So this next one is Garoe. If you want to please come and ask your question.
Hi, mine was not so much of a question, but rather a thought that I wanted to share with Dimitri and Regina. So, really, next generation funds are really historical, huge step in the history of the EU concerning integration of European citizens. But I believe there is perhaps a further step that we should be able to try and get, considering the huge gap that there is in relation with income in different countries, especially between southern and northern countries. Would there be any special policy initiatives that could be taken into account to tackle this issue? Thank you.
I can answer very briefly. Thank you very much, Garoe Afonso, for the question. We have this problem because we have different patterns or levels of economic development in our countries. Is very powerful economic power. Portugal is not. So the income in German will be at the level of the economic power German has. It's like Portugal. Portugal, it's not an industrial country. Our economy is based in the last years on tourism. So the tourism in the past two years, as you all we know, didn't exist. So we have now problems in our income, in national income. We have a very lower salaries, but we have to have mechanisms at European level to protect the poor, the more weak people, the more weak citizens. And I think that in the social pillar of our economic policies in Europe, we are bringing at the table these questions, the minimum salary and the income in countries, the way to help the people that are not employment. So we have in the last years on Europe a big steps to help this problem of different incomes between our member states. And our social model is like in the past, exemplar one. It's an example for the world. We have our main preoccupations with social justice, with solidarity, and in crisis we are very strong in the answers we give to our people. This fund for the our member states had agreed, and last week the German Constitutional Court has given green light. It's a very important. It's a very strong signal that the solidarity of the Union, the European Union, is a reality. It's a true thing, and we must bring back these good signs to show to our citizens that we have a stronger Europe and a stronger response to these problems that we have between our member states if you are together, and we feel have solid steps for the present and the future together. I think it's the only answer we have to give to our citizens. It's to build a stronger Europe and a more united Europe. I think it's a good opportunity to do that with our debate and our ideas during this conference. Thank you very much.
I don't know if Dimitri would like to add something, or we just move to the last question and that's it.
Let's move to the last question.
Okay, thank you very much. So now, please, Daniel Obono.
Yes. Thank you very much. I wanted to know, looking at the current global situation of the European Union, so what do you think are still in a summary, are still the most pressing weaknesses, and what strategy do you think should be put in practice?
Sorry, the most it cut off for a second. So could you just
the weaknesses?
Okay.
So what are the weaknesses European Union is facing to, and what do you think can be put in practice in order to solve that situation?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's I would say the first weakness would be our strategic autonomy, and the way that we need to make sure that we are able to interact, staying true to our values, staying true to our tradition of being an open continent. At the same time, be strategically autonomous and able to generate wealth, and just you can just see the weakness illustrated by the response to the crisis. That's a first weakness. The second weakness, I would say, is demographic. I'm not really a specialist in foresight, and we do have a whole new. We have a commissioner who is responsible for that, Maros Šefčovič, and it's a whole new area of work. But it's evident that demography in Europe means that we are, we need to take measures for it. Among others, our migratory policy needs to be more. Needs to be not only more structured, and there needs to be more solidarity between member states, but there also needs to be a more strategic vision of it, And maybe the third thing would be the seeds of growth. How you create growth, the conditions that you have different types of economies which are very let's say dynamic, but not necessarily protecting rights and values as we do in Europe. We need to face that competition but we need to do it, with our own way, and that's also what we, for instance, this week we've produced artificial intelligence strategy, which is aimed precisely at that. It's one of the big sources of growth in the future, but we also want that to be done the European way. And the same happens for climate. We need to tackle this challenge, obviously, together with other blocks in the world. But first and foremost, we need to make sure that this doesn't affect our growth, and that on the contrary, that it actually serves as an impulse for our continent. So we have all these kind of big geostrategic and challenges that some of which are shared by other blocks, and some of which are really like demography, which are specific to the European Union.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much to everyone, and thank you very much, Regina and Dimitri, for being with us. I'm really sorry for the 20 extra minutes that we have stolen from your Sunday, but we appreciate that you took the time on a Sunday to come to the forum and to ask and to answer the questions by all the participants. Thank you very, very much.
And for the honor, thank you very much to all of you. Dimitri, it's a pleasure. Isabel, it's a pleasure. Good luck for your life.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you very much. Y para el resto, esto no ha terminado todavía, justo entramos ahora en la última parte de clausura. Muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros hasta ahora. Pero bueno, ya pasamos a la última parte del foro, que es, pues bueno, la clausura de estos 3 días en los que, como hemos dicho antes, hemos estado rodeados y rodeadas de vosotros, de los investigadores, pero también de los participantes que han estado interesados en ver cómo se estaba desarrollando toda esta actividad y toda esta iniciativa desde hace un par de meses que se abrieron las candidaturas casi. Así que bueno, pues por mi lado yo ya me habéis visto ya un rato, así que me gustaría dar paso también a los pedazos de profesionales, porque no hay otra manera de llamarles, que han organizado conmigo también este foro. Que bueno, para todos los que sabéis, Equipo Europa es una gran familia. Empezamos muy poquitos hace un par de años y ahora somos más de 2.000, lo cual es impresionante y la verdad es que da a veces un poco de vértigo, ¿no? Cuando de repente conoces a alguien nuevo y les dices Equipo Europa y ya lo conocen y ya están en ello y ya son parte. Y la verdad es que por mi parte lo último que me queda deciros es que para mí ha sido un honor el estar en este foro. Como os decía, también una sorpresa brutal el ver todo el trabajazo que habéis hecho y todas las ganas que le habéis puesto a esta iniciativa, y de verdad que espero que esto llegue a buen puerto y que las instituciones utilicen la mejor arma que tienen, que es a sus ciudadanos y las voces que pueden escuchar y que nos dan la oportunidad de dar. Entonces, bueno, pues sin nada, muchísimas gracias a todos por este ratito, y ahora voy a dar paso a nuestra presidenta.
Muchísimas gracias, Isa. ¿Se me escucha bien? Sí, vale, fenomenal. Bueno, pues nada, por mi parte simplemente quería daros las gracias a todos, de verdad. Ahora mismo somos 121 personas conectadas, que es una pasada. Creo que es el evento que más personas ha tenido de todos los que hemos organizado nunca, y además que más personas han mantenido a lo largo de un fin de semana entero, que ha sido muy intenso y encima online. O sea que es muy difícil mantener a tanta gente activa durante tanto tiempo a través de la pantalla, y lo hemos conseguido, así que estamos súper contentos. Yo quería ser muy breve, simplemente me he sentido muy identificada con una de las cosas que ha dicho Sandra antes en la presentación de conclusiones de la democracia, del grupo de democracia, que es que teníamos mucho miedo cuando empezamos a organizar este foro porque pensábamos que a lo mejor estábamos siendo demasiado ambiciosos. Me acuerdo que lo comentábamos los coordinadores y decíamos, oye, estamos pidiéndole a un montón de gente que se revisen 16 propuestas, que son unas 40 páginas, que se las preparen con antelación al foro, que vengan al foro con muchas ideas y que se tiren un fin de semana entero aportando esas ideas conectados a través de una pantalla con un montón de personas que no conocen. Y claro, evidentemente lo hablamos con otras personas ajenas al foro para ver si ellos pensaban que era realista o no, o si estábamos siendo demasiado ambiciosos, y todo el mundo nos decía, oye, pues a lo mejor tenéis que recortar un poco porque es demasiado. Pero yo me acuerdo que pensé que en Equipo Europa defendemos que los jóvenes deberíamos estar involucrados en el proceso de toma de decisiones porque tenemos la capacidad para hacer este tipo de cosas, y que si nosotros mismos perdíamos la confianza en la juventud para rise up to this challenge, ¿no? estar a la altura de este tipo de retos y de ser capaces de abordar un fin de semana con propuestas de políticas concretas para el futuro de Europa, que si ni siquiera nosotros éramos capaces de confiar en la juventud, ¿quién iba a hacerlo? Entonces decidimos confiar y pusimos en vuestras manos la posibilidad de que esto fuese un éxito o un fracaso. Y la verdad es que me alegra muchísimo estar aquí y poder concluir que efectivamente ha sido un exitazo, que además estamos todos de acuerdo, tanto los coordinadores como los participantes, como los socios que han elaborado las propuestas, que es una maravilla lo que ha pasado este fin de semana y no habría sido posible sin el trabajo de todos. A los coordinadores me gustaría decirles que gracias, porque es muy difícil coordinar un proyecto con otras personas durante tantos meses, que es muy fácil que surjan rencillas, que haya desacuerdos, y con vosotros no ha pasado nada de eso, ha sido pues formar una familia prácticamente, estábamos todo el rato todos súper en sintonía y nos hemos llevado fenomenal, y la verdad es que hacer esto sin vosotros no habría sido lo mismo. Así que de verdad, muchísimas gracias, es lo típico que se dice, pero es que en este caso sí que es verdad que hemos encajado súper bien y yo, vamos, me voy orgullosísima del trabajo que hemos hecho. A los socios que habéis elaborado las propuestas, pues muchísimas gracias, porque la calidad es abrumadora, nunca pensamos que fuerais a hacer un trabajo tan bueno, y es que realmente lo es, y yo estoy convencida de que cuando se lo presentemos a las instituciones, de que cuando se lo presentéis a las instituciones, porque ese trabajo os va a competir a vosotros, van a quedarse pues tan sorprendidos como nosotros. Y a los participantes que habéis venido, pues reitero las gracias, porque sin vosotros, sin esta fase de contraste en las que habéis estado tan activos y habéis tenido tanta iniciativa, pues el foro se habría quedado incompleto. Así que claramente lo que ha hecho tan exitoso este foro y lo que a mí me hace irme tan contenta es que todos hayamos conseguido pues estar a la altura de las expectativas que teníamos desde el principio. Así que nada, me alegro muchísimo de que fuésemos ambiciosos desde un principio, porque ha salido rentable. Hemos conseguido tener un output de este foro que es que va a sorprender a todo el mundo, estoy convencida. Y nada, ya no queda más que terminar las propuestas con vuestro feedback, presentarse a las instituciones y conseguir y tener un impacto en el futuro de Europa. Así que nada, muchísimas gracias de verdad, y con esto doy paso a Elena, me parece, si no me equivoco. Sí, vale.
Sí. Pues muchísimas gracias, Julia, y bueno, suscribo las palabras que habéis dicho tanto Isa como tú. Yo me voy a limitar también a agradecer a los participantes que habéis estado con nosotros todo el fin de, desde el viernes hasta ahora por la tarde. O sea, es un compromiso que la verdad es que os lo agradecemos. También quiero dar las gracias pues, a Dimitri y a Regina, que han estado con nosotros, pero también a los ponentes y participantes que estuvieron el viernes con nosotros en la bienvenida. Y sobre todo quiero agradecerle a los miembros de los grupos de trabajo. O sea, como ha dicho Julia, han estado a la altura completamente de nuestras expectativas. Es que les exigíamos y daban la talla y cumplían todos los plazos que les poníamos, porque es que esto hay que tener en cuenta que es algo extra a sus trabajos, a sus estudios, y que es que aún así han dado la talla, han estado ahí. A veces nos preguntamos, ostras, no sé si les exigimos esto va a ser demasiado, y lo cumplían. Entonces también el trabajo por parte de la coordinación con ellos ha sido súper maravilloso. No sé, solo puedo dar palabras de agradecimiento también al resto de compañeros de la coordinación. Ha sido un gustazo trabajar con vosotros y vosotras. Yo me he sentido como una esponja porque he aprendido de todos vosotros y bueno, yo soy una delegada de formación de una comunidad, en la Comunidad Valenciana, y estar con vosotros, con parte de la Junta, para mí ha sido un gustazo también, por eso, porque he podido aprender mucho más. Y también de Raquel, que aunque sea una delegada de acción, pues también ha sido un gusto. Y nada, deciros que a pesar de que al principio sí que tuvimos unos problemas técnicos y que esto es inevitable en la era en la que estamos viviendo ahora, informática y demás, creo que ha sido un completo éxito, gracias a la participación, el compromiso y la implicación con el proyecto, con este proyecto que ha tenido esta asociación con tan poco tiempo, tan joven como ha sido Equipo Europa, y muchísimo más de lo que esperábamos. Y nada, desde la coordinación, daros las gracias a todas y a todos, y que simplemente que estoy plenamente agradecida. Y nada, le doy el turno de palabra ahora a Manu.
Muchas gracias. ¿Se me escucha? Que no lo sé. Vale, perfecto. Antes de nada, también estoy fuera de casa porque todos y todas hemos tenido cosas que hacer durante todo este fin de semana. Así que me uno a ese agradecimiento a todas y todos los participantes que habéis estado conectados, a todos los ponentes, a todas las autoridades invitadas, y básicamente también, igual que Raquel, que no se va a poder conectar como coordinadora del foro porque tiene cositas que hacer, como hemos tenido que hacer, como digo, todas y todos, pedir mil disculpas por ella. Entonces me toca a mí cerrar dar un cierto discurso institucional de cierre de este foro por el futuro de la Unión Europea, del que, como ya han comentado todas mis compañeras, no es que solo estemos orgullosos, sino que ha sido una grandísima experiencia también para nosotras mismas. Ahora mismo no sé si se me ve porque el discurso lo tengo escrito para que no se me olvide nada. Entonces, básicamente, aparte de este enorme placer y privilegio que es siempre estar en foros que acuden y proclaman la democracia, los derechos y los valores que nos representan como europeos, no solo es que esté orgulloso, sino que me siento honrado. Así que simplemente decir que en muchas ocasiones a todos los aquí presentes se nos ha cuestionado en bastantes veces y en bastantes ocasiones, todos nuestros círculos, cuál es el objetivo que tenemos como lo que hemos hecho durante todos estos días. O incluso también por qué nos involucramos sabiendo que no podríamos cambiar nada. Y debo admitir que en el paradigma europeo actual estas personas tienen parte de la razón. Pero no quita que nuestra era esté inmersa en numerosas acciones, comportamientos y sistemas incorrectos o injustos, y en millones de personas de todo el mundo y sobre todo de la Unión Europea en su día a día viven bajo circunstancias precarias, violaciones de derechos humanos, corrupción, pobreza, desigualdades, y que parecen estancas en esos 50, 60 años que lleva en construcción la Unión Europea. Y los jóvenes de hoy, y también los no tan jóvenes, somos testigos de este tiempo incierto, preocupante, y que debemos ser conscientes de que los hechos que mencionamos seguirán creciendo e incluso se añadirán nuevos. No obstante, dejamos de lado el deber ser o el tener que de la Unión Europea, y por eso es lo que hoy, a día de hoy, hemos hecho durante estos días, y lo que digo siempre a esas personas que nos ven, que la coherencia siempre está, y que estos 3 días no solo es imitar o intentar simular o intentar hacer lo que vamos a hacer, sino es nuestro modo de vida. Y se acabó, compañeras, compañeros, amigos, amigas, miembros del foro, moderadores, moderadoras y todos los que habéis estado presentes, autoridades. Nuestra generación no puede continuar fijándose en el televisor o en el internet y pretender que no pasa nada. Llegamos a un tiempo donde la vida ha sido un constante cambio durante los últimos 20, 30 y 40 años. Durante este tiempo hemos vivido grandes hitos como ver que el cambio climático es una lucha constante, como la homosexualidad ha sido una lucha que se ha conseguido y que tiene que seguir siendo constituida como una lucha de los derechos humanos. La OMS lo certifica como tal. La celebración del Día de la Mujer también, el Día de los Discapacitados, la economía social, el Pacto Verde, el cambio climático, todas estas cuestiones hace que me recuerden a un proverbio chino que dice básicamente que si caminas solo irás más rápido, pero si caminas acompañado llegarás más lejos. Y eso es básicamente lo que hemos querido realizar durante estos días en el Foro por el Futuro de la Unión Europea. Y no es otra cuestión, que es que todos y todas vivimos la unión.
Bueno, pues ahora yo creo, muchísimas gracias. La piel de gallina, no hay mucho más que decir.